I know they were all everybody's there waiting for you to come in. But, so he sent me back, and I was mad at him.
She was brought to the hospital with chest pain.
And I'm like, oh, she's doing okay, you know, got a little problem and stuff.
She was very young. I believe she was maybe only in her mid to late 30s.
And we got there. They put the monitors on me.
We do a special study to look at the arteries that supply the heart muscle with blood.
And all of a sudden, two doctors come in and they're like, "You're not going to believe this." I'm like, "What is going on?"
Had appropriate testing done and was found to have had a small heart attack.
He goes, "You're having a heart attack."
It's a very emotionally draining situation.
So they rushed me up to the intensive care, and I came in, a doctor came in, they ran a test and discovered I needed open heart.
She was terrified of the possibility of needing open heart surgery.
So of course then I got a little nervous, I started thinking of my kids.
And certainly when you're a young person and you have young children and you have your whole life ahead of you, and now all of a sudden you're facing a situation that you could never imagine.
It's like, you know what? The damage is done, we're going to take care of it. He goes, you know, let's pray about this.
There's more to being a human than what's contained in a book or what's written in scientific journals.
Then I knew I was going to be okay, because he believed in God and believed in power of prayer.
The day of the surgery was a fairly routine day, nothing that I can remember that was out of the ordinary. She went to the operating room, she had a fairly uneventful operation.
So they sat me up and I breathed in and I coughed, and all of a sudden
they noticed that her blood pressure was starting to fall.
I just felt like my whole body was falling back.
We put little plastic drainage tubes in the chest.
And I kept on saying, "Help me, help me."
And those drainage tubes started filling up with blood.
They're all scrambling and look, and I'm still watching them, and I'm still talking. "Please help me, I've got a baby, I got a husband, I've got a little boy."
After I got there, it was clear that we had to go directly back to the operating room, that there was something seriously wrong, and that she was bleeding all of a sudden.
My husband had just gotten home. They called him at that point to come down.
Now I've got a young woman with young children who all of a sudden is dying immediately.
They needed the priest and everything, that I wasn't going to make it because I was bleeding out too quick. There was a bunch of people on this side, and there was the wall here. And on this side was this gentleman, and I kept on thinking, okay, he's not in scrubs. What is he doing here?
Not everything that occurred that day was, as a result of what we did.
He's like, "Tammy, it's okay. You're okay." And I kept on thinking, I don't know, I'm in a lot of pain. And
there was just blood everywhere, and it was very difficult to figure out where the bleeding was coming from.
Everybody's just running around. And my surgeon came back in. He's like, guys, we got to open her up.
But no sooner did we get the chest open.
Opened me right then and there, and I felt this huge pressure, and I said, ah.
Her heart stopped, and then the focus went from trying to figure out where the bleeding was to just saving her, saving her life.
Next thing I know is this gentleman was up here, and he said, "Tammy, come with me." So he grabbed my hand.
I do remember praying for her and begging, actually, silently, for God to spare her life.
So we're standing there, well, watching everybody else around my body.
Everybody was doing everything they could.
I kept on thinking, oh man, this is great. I don't have any pain. And my surgeon was inside my chest. The blood was just everywhere. And he was actually just pulling it out and trying to find my heart.
I started basically massaging the heart.
My angel was telling me, come on, it's time. And over in the corner, there was it was a bright light, but it didn't hurt your eyes. It was warmth. It was and I've always heard about these long tunnels. Apparently I didn't have a long enough life, because mine, I passed part of my life. I passed my kids and I passed my husband, and I almost got in. I know for a fact my grandmother died a long time ago, and me and her were really close. And I got into the light, and it was her.
But we just kept going and kept going.
I was just about ready to reach her, and my angel came back. But at that point, he's like, oh, it's time to go back. You've got to go back. I'm like, no, because that warmth, it's really hard to describe what it is. You know how when you have your very first child and they come in and you feel this awestruck love for that child? It is tenfold of that.
So I know that she's a 30-year-old and that she's got young children, and what the potential consequences are going to be to this family forever.
And I felt really guilty afterwards because I didn't want to come back. I've never felt so much love and so much happiness, and all those stupid things that you worry back here doesn't mean anything from up here, up there. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And there's all those people waiting for you to come in, even if I didn't know them. And didn't know people in my life. I know they were all everybody's there waiting for you to come in. But, so he sent me back. And I was mad at him because we got back, and he was like, Tammy, it's time. I'm like, no, I want to go back. And because once you leave that place, it's like you've lost a lot. Even though I didn't, because I still have my children here.
Once we were able to get her on the heart and lung machine, and we finally found where the bleeding was, and we fixed that,
my angel threw me back in to my body, and I felt Chris just pumping my heart. And I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much pain. And at that time, that's when Chris said, we found it, we're going to save her.
We took her back to the intensive care unit, and we waited because we weren't sure, because of her blood pressure being so low, that she was ever going to wake up.
At that time, they told them, because I was dead for over a half hour, that I was not going to be able to walk, to talk. I wouldn't be a functioning person ever again. To find me a home.
There was some praying that was going on at her bedside, hoping that she was going to wake up and not have any permanent brain damage. We were amazed after she regained consciousness and we removed the breathing tube and she was able to talk. It was several hours after that she started talking or relating some of her experience during this whole circumstance.
Thank you so much for praying for me. He's like, what? I was like, you prayed for me. And it really hurt when you were pumping. But you prayed for me and you brought me back. Even though you should have seen the place I was in. It was your fault I came back, but I'm glad I'm here now. He goes, what else do you remember? And I just told him everything that I remembered.
And the clarity, I think, of her thoughts and what she saw, what she remembers hearing, what people looked like.
I explained to him, though, I'm like, I always thought my angels would have wings and, sing and be halo-y and everything. And my angel was an absolute doll. He had on a baseball cap on backwards and a big old cross on him.
It was chilling to a certain degree because of how vivid and how clear her thoughts were.
He's like, well, it's true because you shouldn't be doing this. So my sister, they allowed her to come in because she was at the hospital. She didn't leave the hospital either. And my sister's like, I'm so glad. I'm like, so am I, but you wouldn't believe. So I was telling her a story. I'm like, you wouldn't have believed my angel. I thought these angels were going to be, this white, flowing, fluffy little angel with wings, and this angel wasn't. I'm like, he had a ball cap on, and I was explaining to him. My sister just went totally white and had to sit down. And I'm like, what is the matter? She goes, did Mom talk to you? And I said, no, why would she? And I'm like, Sue, you're the first one I saw. And she goes, you're not going to believe this. They told my family that I was going to not make it. So my mom had run out of the hospital down State Street. And my sister went into the chapel there. She said there was nobody by her or anywhere in the room. She was sitting there praying and asking God to save me and stuff. And all of a sudden she felt something on her arm. And she looked over and there was this guy. And he's like, go get your mom and tell her it's going to be okay. Your sister's going to make it. And she's like, they just told us she died. And he's like, no, she's going to make it. So my sister ran out of the hospital, came back in with my mother, and my sister's husband was right there. And they were all crying, and she saw the gentleman and she smiled. The gentleman came over and put his arm on my mom and her and walked them back up. My sister was going to say thank you. She turned around and there was nobody there. That's the gentleman that came to I went down to the chapel and I was praying, and he came up. She goes, you know what, I'm not trying to discredit you in anything, but that seems strange that I saw the same gentleman that you did. I wonder if he's a chaplain and stuff. So we were asking everybody, and they're like, nobody that we know. But then when she found out that, really sunk in, well, my husband didn't see him, my mom didn't see him, and we saw the same person. It was truly a miracle. Well, about a month later, my mom was living with us because I couldn't take care of my kids, and my husband, of course, had to work. My little boy, who was 3 at the time, Brock, my mom had to go to the store, so he was going to be the big man to take care of his mom and his little sister while she was gone. And I was like shuffling through my dining room into my living room, and my son's like, "Mommy, who's the gentleman there behind you?" Well, there was nobody else in my house with me. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I'm going to have another heart attack, you know? I'm like, there's someone here. So I turn around and I'm like, honey, there's nobody there. He goes, yes, he is. He's over your shoulder. I was like, honey, there's nobody there. He goes, Mommy, he has a ball cap on and a big cross. So he saw my angel, and my angel was still watching over me.
I do believe that, I firmly believe in what she saw or what she experienced.
It's been 7 years, and I keep on going and going and going.
I remember 4 days after that, we watched her walk out of the hospital, which was absolutely amazing.
God has definitely brought me to people that are sick. 3 years ago when my mom was dying, I took care of her for the last year. And I talked to her about God because, like I said, my mom didn't go to church all the time, but I knew she believed. Going through her illness, I got to help her. I got to tell her to go see the light. And she was in so much pain. And then all of a sudden she smiled. She took her last breath, and she was at peace. So I knew she was there. And that God is sending me to people, I guess, to help them through the transition. I don't take life so seriously because, God's going to handle it.
You can't think 5 years ahead or 10 years ahead. I mean, each day is a precious gift.
God takes care of everything. People just need to give him a chance.
God is accessible.
Don't live like you're dying. Live like you're living. I know where we're all going. You don't have to worry about that. Live the day that God, every morning I wake up and I thank God for putting my feet on that ground again.
You just have to take each day as it comes, do the very best that you can, and be appreciative that your eyes open every morning and you get to experience another day here on earth.
The power of prayer, the power of God, and the love that we have to look forward to is amazing. Amazing. လွန်မြောက်ခြင်းဘဝရဲ့စာမျက်နှာရှာဖွေပါမြတ်တဲ့မင်း